If you're coming from rock and blues and trying to learn jazz but being overwhelmed by theory, it's not your fault. Most methods only scratch the surface of theory and they make it seem way too complicated. But once you dig a little deeper, you'll find that there's a real elegant simplicity to the music. You see, you don't need a bunch of scales, modes, and arpeggios. A simple analysis to locate 3 types of chords reveals all you need. And you'll never worry about chord scales again. I'm Dr. George, making jazz simple so that you can play more and think less. Now, if you've watched some of my videos, you may get the idea that I'm the anti-theory guy. But in fact, it's just the opposite. I'm kind of a theory nerd. I've got 3 degrees in theory. But what I've figured out is it just doesn't work when you're playing. And most of the pros agree. When you're trying to play the right notes over the right chords, it creates anxiety, you make mistakes, and it really ends up lacking passion. But if you dig deeper, theory can make things simpler, not more complicated. I'm going to put on my professor cap in this video and show you 3 steps that'll make it so that you can play over almost any tune. And stick around to the end for a bonus diminished lick that you're just going to love. But before we get started, if making jazz simpler sounds good to you, hit the subscribe button. So we're going to take a look at It Could Happen to You, sung by a great songwriter, Jimmy Van Heusen, one of my favorites. Okay, so if you first glance, you look at this song, it looks pretty complicated. A lot of chords, you can see some alterations and things like that. This doesn't look like it's something for a beginner. And if you go with a lot of different improvisation methods, they'll often show you something like this, where you have to play all of these different scales and think of different scales on every chord. Problem with that is that if you're thinking like that, you don't have any time to think about music. And to be honest, you really don't need to do this. In fact, all you need to be able to do is to identify 3 different types of chords. Diatonic chords, the secondary dominants, and the borrowed chords. And once you have all of those, you'll find that with the diatonic chords, you can just play the diatonic scale. And with the secondary dominants and the borrowed chords, you'll really only need to think about 1 note. So let's look at the diatonic chords first. Okay, so the diatonic chords in any key are the 1 and the 4 chord are major 7ths, the 2, 3, and 6 are minor 7ths, the 5 is a dominant 7th, and the 7 is a minor 7 flat 5. And so these are the chords we have in the key of E flat, which is the key of our song. And so if we look at this song now, let's identify the diatonic chords. And all of these chords are diatonic to the key. Now this means that you don't have to think about chord progressions or chord tones or scales or anything. You can just play the E flat major scale over the top of it. Most people will tell you that you need to know all of the chord tones, but that's not really true because you see, almost all of the notes in any key are going to work on any of the diatonic chords. What's going to happen is that you're going to get a different effect. If we land on the 1, we've kind of ended. Okay? But maybe we want something that's going to extend things more. Now maybe we want to end on a 9. Or the 7th. That's a very different color. So you see that you can land on any of the notes. What's just going to happen is you'll have a different effect on any of those notes. Now you might even land on what we would call the avoid note. Okay, so that note has a tendency to want to resolve. But when you land on the 1 note in the key that doesn't quite fit, there are a number of things you can do. 1, you can resolve it. Or you can repeat it. So it wasn't a mistake then, I meant that. And then you could also fit it into a pattern. See, so I just added a pattern and then I still resolved it eventually. So there are a lot of different ways that you can do that. When you hit a note that's not quite what you wanted, it's an opportunity to be creative. It's not a mistake. So here we have 10 and a half measures out of 16 are diatonic. So that makes it a whole lot easier to think of. You've got 1 scale to think about. All right, so our second group of chords are the secondary dominant chords. Secondary dominant chords are dominant seventh chords with diatonic roots. So in the key of E flat, these are the chords that. Now, from a theory standpoint, we call these 5, 7 to 2, 5, 7 to 5, wherever they happen to be going. But when you're improvising, you don't really need that, and it's a lot simpler to just think of them as being replacements for the diatonic chords. So I think of them like this. Now, for most of these dominant seventh chords, you're going to need to change one note to make it so that you are playing over the chord change. Now, 2, 3, 6, and 7 are all minor chords in the diatonic scale. So when we make them dominant seventh chords, what we've done is we've raised the third. And so it's the third of each one of these chords that matters. And so for F, it's going to be A. For G, it'll be B. E for C7, and F sharp for D7. Now for the E flat 7, it's already a major chord, so we're not going to change the third, but we are going to change the seventh. And so we use a lowered seventh, D flat. And so now let's take a look at It Could Happen to You. And you'll see that we have a couple of secondary dominants. The first one we come into is in measure 8, the C7 chord. And so the major third of that chord is E natural. D flat is not diatonic, so that's not a secondary dominant. The G7 is a secondary dominant, though. And so its third is B natural. And then finally, the F7 chord is also, it's built on the second scale degree, so that's a secondary dominant, and the major third is going to be A natural. So now we have most of these chords covered, but there are a couple of other chords that we have to look at. The diminished chords are E diminished and F sharp diminished are actually secondary dominants. And here's why. If you look at this E diminished seventh chord, you'll see that the 4 notes there are the top 4 notes of a C7 flat 9 chord. And in fact, most of the time, a diminished chord is going to be treated like a no root 7 flat 9 chord. So because it's built on the third, and the third is the note that we're targeting on secondary dominants, the note that you're actually going to need for these 2 chords are the roots. So now we have all of the chords in the first 16 bars covered except for one, and that's the last group of chords that we want to talk about. Okay, borrowed chords. Now, borrowed chords are chords that come from the parallel minor key, and these are the 4 chords that we'll be talking about. The 2 minor 7 flat 5, A flat minor 7, the 4 minor 7, the flat 6 major 7, C flat major 7, or the flat 7 7, D flat 7. And these are really commonly used to just give it a little bit more spice. And what they all have in common is the flat 6 scale degree. So now that we've identified this D flat 7 as a borrowed chord, the target note is going to be the flat 6, the same as it would be for any of the borrowed chords. So let's talk about how to practice it. I would suggest that you start out, put on your backing track, and then during the diatonic chords, play diatonically. Now that doesn't mean that you have to play only diatonic notes. Of course, you can use chromatic passing tones and closures, all sorts of things that you want to do. But when you get to the target notes, just play the target note. So the bottom line is that for all of this entire song, you need to know the E flat major scale and then just 4 notes. E natural, F sharp or G flat, B natural or C flat, and A natural. And that covers the entire song. So that makes it so that instead of thinking like this, you're thinking like this. And that looks a whole lot easier, doesn't it? Okay, so now I know that got a little bit wonky, but as you can see, the end result is a lot simpler. That's what I do in the Jumpstart Jazz guitar program. I do the wonky part, and then I hand you the end result so that you don't have to do it unless you really want to. So if you're interested in making some real progress and stop wasting time, sign up for a free lesson with me. I'll listen to you play. I'll give you some advice on what you can do. There's no obligation, no heavy pressure or anything. If it looks like it's a good fit and you want to work with me, we'll talk about it. The link is down below. Click on it and find a good, convenient time. Hope to see you soon. Okay, so now I want to show you that diminished lick that I promised you. Well, the diminished licks are kind of a challenge because the first thing you end up doing arpeggios and things, and they just sound kind of hokey. But this one works really, really well. And it takes advantage of the fact that there are some triads, major triads in the diminished scale. All right, so what we do is find our target note and then go down a half step and play a major triad. And so we'll play the major triad and the target note together. And it's a nice, cool little sounding diminished sound. Works on the F sharp too. And so. And so as you can hear, it's a much hipper lick than just playing an arpeggio. So have some fun with that. Making jazz simpler is what I do. And if you'd like to see more about this approach, check out this video.